Well, Eric,
Here we go. We're live. Well, not live. We're dead now. No, we're not dead either. This is wildlife biologist Eric Orr for What's Wild in New Hampshire. Hey, I'm at the Fish and Game Region 3 office in Durham, the office I worked out of the last couple of decades before my career ended. But I worked with marine biologists, a couple of them right here. And so it's the Fish and Game Region 3 office in Durham. We've got Kevin Sullivan and Mike Dion here. Mike and Kevin, they've been working on lots of things here, but we're going to talk about right now getting ready for the river herring run. What's up with the river? How long's there been a fish ladder here on the seacoast? I'm guessing since the 60s. Anybody have any memories about?
The first fish ladder was on the Winnicott River in 1964. It was constructed.
Okay.
And then the bulk of the other ladders were built mostly in the mid-70s, 1973 to 1976 or so.
yeah,
Okay.
I think our ladder totals every year go back to 72.
Yeah.
Huh. So what has happened with the run? Now, historically there were herring runs when they built the dams. They were basically done away with, and so we've been restoring these runs for decades now. How's it going? And also, you know, it's in a couple of weeks you're going to have the herring run. What's involved in preparing the ladder? So the work goes on year round to prepare for the fish, and what has to be done?
Yeah, the work does go on year round. You know, the ladders are only open for a brief period of time. You know, we open them early to mid-April, and they usually shut down by July 1st. But they are concrete structures that are over 40 years old at this point. They're exposed to the weather, freezing temperatures in wintertime. So there's a lot of maintenance, leaks to fix, internal workings, including baffles and other structures within the fish ladder that need repair. It's constant work to operate them. It's a year-round project for sure.
Yeah, I see you got a couple of nets here that you have to every year have to kind of make them anew, fix them.
Yeah,
They-
we're going through, like Mike said, during the season, it's like 6 busy weeks a year that we're in the fish ladders. And every day we pull these nets through there and they get pretty beat up. And so we have to remake these nets every couple of years. I was showing earlier, these ones are all patched up from last year, but it's probably gonna last another year, and then we'll get on to making another one. And you know, it's pretty hard work on these nets, having to haul up, you know, sometimes thousands of fish at a time and repeatedly. So yeah, we build the nets, we get those all set to go, getting ready to move from the desk back out to the field.
So another skill to learn is how to fix a net.
Net mending.
Net
Yeah.
mending.
Net mending. We're building. I mean, we build these from just oak, red oak, I think it is.
Yep.
Red oak sticks, and then
Yep.
put a net between it and a weight lead line.
Huh,
So,
nice.
yeah, definitely a skill. You learn along the way.
Yeah. How the herring runs going, and what else uses the ladder besides herring?
So the herring runs are, you know, they're a fish that goes in cycles. They have up years and they have down years. Some of that is probably natural. Some of it is weather related. If you remember back to 2006, we had a severe flood year. That was the
Oh, I remember. Yeah, the
flood
whole
year.
town of
That
Newmarket.
year nearly erased the run. Usually we anticipate to see a couple 100,000 river herring return to coastal rivers. That year, I don't even know. I think it was less than 50,000 fish
Huh.
Pretty
returned.
low.
All fish ladders combined.
Yeah.
Last year was a fantastic year in a couple spots. The Exeter River had a fantastic run. The Lamprey River had a fantastic run. But then in other rivers like the Cachiko, we're down.
Huh.
Yeah.
So that's typical.
So it's typical.
Yeah.
It's typical.
Well, some of them are down for a good reason. So the Exeter was one that was never really that good at passing fish. I mean, a good year was like 11,000 fish. I think that was a great year, actually. A good year might be like 4,000 or 5,000 fish. And we had that dam taken out
Yep.
in
2016.
2016, so I think our first passage year was 2017
Yep.
that we had without the dam. But a consequence of taking a dam out means the fish ladder goes with it, and the
Yep.
fish ladder is where we count fish, and we can get these numbers. So with that gone, we thought we would move up to the next dam on
Yep.
the system, thinking that those fish would just show up there, and it turns out that wasn't the case. So
Okay.
it took us a few years to adjust to that. So it looks like we have low to no counts on that river
Okay.
for the 100 fish or so that show up at the second dam. But that doesn't mean that those fish disappeared, it's that we couldn't count them.
Okay.
So we switched last year to a time count method, which is not ideal, there's a lot of error in that. but it's at least a better count than not counting. So we had that, and that gets the run numbers back up. So we had a couple years of really low because of some dam removals, also because of some dam modifications.
Okay.
And we're trying to work our way back from those.
Right.
The Cachico is another good example.
So by and large, the river herring are doing okay here in the Great Bay system, the coastal system.
Okay is a good word.
Okay is a good word. Yeah, I know.
They're not thriving per se. Some rivers are doing good.
Some rivers, the Lamprey River is doing
Yep.
fantastic.
Now, I know in years past, Fish and Game has actually moved some of these river herring to help restore other populations. And I remember years ago with Bill Ingham, I helped him move some to north of the lake, and I think Suncook Lake, Bow Lake, we put some in from the Cochico, I think. So they've been used to seed other places. So it's not just here that have been impacted by the fish ladders and the restored fish. It's other river systems as well.
Yeah, that's one good thing about river herring is they've been proven to be able to repopulate a system where they've been, whether they didn't exist there, which is not the first place you're targeting, but a place that they've been extirpated from where they used to be. They're pretty quick to repopulate. The lifespan is really they can go from hatching to reproducing in as little as 3 years, but really within 5 years definitely.
Okay.
And the fish will live 8 to 9 years.
Nice.
So you can just in the course of 5 years you can repopulate a system.
Nice.
And we do that. We stock them within basin to Bow Lake, like you said, from the Cachico.
system.
We stock them into Pawtuckaway from the Lamprey
Oh, yeah,
River.
yep.
And then we help with out of basin ones. A big one is the Merrimack. The Merrimack run, I don't know what the peaks were, but they're up near 1 million fish, I believe, right, or more.
I think so,
When
yeah.
they counted. And the Inland Fishery Division contacted us several years ago and said we really want to try to get this run back up because it was down to like hundreds.
Thousands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so low. And so that we helped them, and we gave them, I think, some years like 20,000+ fish, right?
Wow.
From our rivers to move, and then they've got that run back up in the hundreds of thousands.
Nice. Helping striper fishermen everywhere.
It's good bait.
Good bait, and they eat them. Now, Kevin, I came out here and stumbled onto these traps. What's going on with this? What's this program here?
We're
Might as well-
definitely outside of my element. So our lobster biologist, Josh Carloni, this is something he's got going on, and he can give you all the detailed answers. But these generally are modified crab traps. And I think the real reason that they're using these right now is because we have had a long-term data set on lobster trap collection, so actual commercial lobster traps which have escape vents on them, and we get that data. More recently, I'm not sure exactly when, but let's say 10 years ago, we started a ventless trap program, which is a commercial lobster trap without those escape vents.
Yeah.
So that allows us to sample the lobster
Smaller.
sizes that normally would get out of those
Right,
other
right.
escape vents and through the mesh. We also have done a diving program for a long time where we target the smallest lobsters.
I dive tended that,
Yeah.
and you might have been you might have been diving that day. You and
catching those with like
Yeah.
6 mil gloves on,
Yeah,
it's really hard,
yeah.
but we get those. Then we do a suction sampling dive that started, I think, about 10 or more years ago, where we're suctioning the bottom like a vacuum, and we're getting like the right
Oh,
as soon
really?
as they hit the sea surface, for the floor. But they always miss this mid-range, so
Okay.
they miss the lobsters that are like, we're gonna say like total length like this, that are
Okay.
small enough to get out those escape vents, but too big for us to catch in these surveys and with this suction device. So
Okay.
these are targeting the mid-range lobsters.
Any of that lobster data telling anything to you yet? Is it, or is it too early to say?
Josh should probably tell them all.
Okay, we'll wait for the lobster. We'll talk lobster later. All right. Well, I just happened to see him here, and I had to ask the story.
Yeah, I'm just lucky enough to be the head of the dive program for
Okay.
our division.
Very good. Well, thank you both, Mike and Kevin. This is awesome to know that herring season's around the corner, and you'll be getting the ladders ready. A lot of work to do that, and our striper fishermen appreciate your hard work. Thank you very much. This is wildlife biologist Eric Orr for What's Wild in New Hampshire.